What's up, gang? Kawaii50 here with yet another Fate Grand Order video, waking up super early. Not really, that's a lie. But being up here on a Sunday to tell you about all this 7th anniversary stuff. Some people might be like, you're just reading a translated Reddit post. This is important FGO news. We are going to talk about it. This just happens to be the easiest format for us to look at it and talk about it. So, deal, I guess. Thanks to Roadromancer for doing all of this translation in the comments. You are a gentleman and a scholar. So, of course, 7th anniversary came out. It is insane. It is absolutely crazy. I'm sure you've already seen some of the stuff in the thumbnail I just put up. So we got Twitter and Retweet Stream Awards, 100 Cent Quartz for everyone. That's great. That's great. We got some fantastic Mana Prisms, some 7th anniversary craft essences, which my boy Mandricardo looking fresh in that, and a bunch of other stuff. But what we've really got to talk about even more than these fantasy costume dresses for servants like Kama and Taigon Wang, like all of this stuff. All of these beautiful, beautiful CEs. Even more so than the 10th anniversary campaign, where we get a bunch of cool stuff. Even more than we get all these crystallized lores. Even more than half off training and embers and storage expansion and extra missions that give St. Quartz new servant strengthenings, which always happen. Yada, yada, yada. This is the first thing I want to talk about more than anything, which is why I yada, yada, yada my way through that. The battle system renewal. I've been saying it for years since I started this channel that FGO needs to do something to change up the battle system. They need to do something. And actually, they're doing it. They're starting to make inroads. Lasagna is doing what Delightworks could not for some reason. So to start with, Quick is getting buffed. Overall, Quick is now just better. So selecting Quick cards now as the first in the chain will raise the rest of the critical star drop and damage chance for other cards. So Quick card at the start of the chain doesn't just increase star drop rate anymore, it is just overall stronger and better. And now the payout for a Quick chain is 20 critical stars as opposed to the 10. Much, much better. Quick is just all around better at doing the thing. I know Quick to some people still seems inherently flawed. It's got a few issues, but this is definitely going in the right direction for them addressing Quick's place in the JP meta right now. We've also got a new type of chain. This is called the Mighty Chain. Selecting all 3 card types, Quick, Arts, and Buster together will create a Mighty Chain. The order doesn't matter. So this actually gives you a little bit of an extra payoff for not having all of your card types line up. I know how most of us play this game. What we are looking for is a Brave chain of a same specific card type, and when it comes to having chains of different opposing card types, we're just really there for the extra attack, and that doesn't seem like as nearly as big a payoff because we get that anyways when doing an Arts Buster Quick Brave chain. But now when you select 3 different kinds of cards, it will give attack up, NP game up, critical star rate up, and a 20% crit damage chance up to all cards in the chain. The Mighty Brave chain will occur when a single servant pulls off a Brave chain with all card types, and these buff effects will go over and apply to the extra attack as well. This is mainly effective for servants that get a bunch of damage off of their face cards. So Arts Crit servants like, say, Lancelot, Heracles, of course, are going to see some excellent gains from this, and you're not going to be nearly as upset having all of these different multiple card types. We've also got a couple of other quality of life bonuses in here. You can now use the Noble Phantasm of support servants from players who aren't added to your friends list, which should have just been a thing to begin with. If I see somebody show up, even if their servant's great, a lot of times if I can't use the Noble Phantasm, I'll skip over them when it comes to selecting them. So this should just mean more friend points all around for everyone. And smoother battle animation, selecting high quality will now process smoother graphics. Of course, this is going to heat up your phone and burn the battery. So if you got a potato phone, maybe avoid that. But this is basically 60 FPS for FGO, and isn't that just delightful? Everyone's going to get a choice of one 5-star craft essence that is super, super old, limited 0 over, formal craft, imagine around black. Who cares? Doesn't matter. The rest of these are super good. You can finally get a K-scope if you don't have one. You can finally get a Black Grail if you don't have one, or Max Limit Break It. And interesting choice of them, including Volume and Hydrogyrum right here. This is actually a super dope CE I use on servants like Heracles and Ku Altar. So that is something to consider if you've already got a K-scope or a Black Grail maxed out. We've of course got a guaranteed limited SSR gacha here. It seems like the way they're setting this up, it's like servants that came out in, I guess, almost the first half of the game's life cycle, and servants that came out in the quote-unquote second half of the game's life cycle. It really seems like it's gated a little more on time, but that's just a minor observation on my part. I'm not actually quite sure why they went and separated it like this. But I mean, when it comes to me eventually pulling on this in the future, definitely hoping to get Bazette, definitely hoping to get Doman if I know her again. This is going to be the main group everyone guns for, simply because Morgan Le Fay is in it, let's be honest. This bit here is super, super important. You are now getting rewards for Servant Ascension, so even more free Saint Quartz, Lasagna not being nearly as stingy as Delightworks was in the past. For every Servant upgrade to Max Ascension, you will be getting 3 Pure Prisms and 5 Saint Quartz. Limited friend point gacha servants such as Mary Anning and Nobukatsu will reward a rare prism at Max Ascension instead. Still a pretty good deal. So if you have every single servants, they calculated you get 915 Saint Quartz, 1,035 Pure Prisms, and 40 Rare Prisms. An absolute titan of a Saint Quartz wave if I have ever seen one. We're getting some past costumes added to the shop. Shiki Saber, Heroine X, Summer Musashi, Ilya's Testament form costume is showing up again, which is great. And of course, they've got all these good anniversary rare prism exchanges. And now we've got to talk about, I'm not going to scroll all the way down yet in case you haven't, I spoiled it in the thumbnail, let's be frank. Arcueid is now in the game as Archetype Earth, and Zhu Fu is getting added as a 3-star alter ego. Let's go ahead and watch Arcueid's Noble Phantasm, because I haven't seen it yet. Nice. As a man who knows absolutely nothing about Tsukihime lore and hasn't played Tsukihime and only knew how to spell Arcueid's name and pronounce it because of Manpig, that was interesting. That was interesting. Let's take a look at these skills for her. So S1, Rainbow Mystic Eye, applies Skill Seal on all enemies and defense down on all enemies while buffing Arcueid's attack. Skill 2 increases NP gauge by 50 to 100% and increases NP damage for self by 10 to 20%. Funny Vamp gives all allies invincibility, applies buff removal resistance for good trait allies, and increases NP gauge for all allies except self on the Millennium Castle field. That's interesting. And Arcueid Marble Phantasm changes field to the Millennium Castle, deals damage to all enemies, super effective against chaotic, and increases NP gauge for living human allies except self. So, oh cool, we've got another living human trait. And she just gets infinite boosts whenever on the Millennium Castle field. She can murder outer gods. Yeah, this seems very par for the course for Arcueid, absolutely. She seems like an interesting BB style long form battle supporter. I mean, she doesn't have the card lock. I assume she's going to be able to loop in the Koyanskaya system, and she's able 50 to 100% charge. Wow, and increasing NP damage. I think we're going to be seeing Archetype Earth as like a main looper, and some people are probably going to bring her along, plug suit her in or out when it comes to specific challenge quests. Let's see what servants get the living trait. Okay, I just took a gander there. Shiki gets it, Gray gets it, Mash gets it, which is very, very cool. Basically anyone who could currently be considered a human that is alive. So interesting. I really do like all of these skills. That final passive increasing effectiveness on a Millennium Castle field. This is actually probably the thing I think is going to give her a awesome boost when it comes to farming, because if they allow this to apply to her Noble Phantasm, that's gonna be dope. That's gonna be absolutely dope. So as far as Zhu Fu goes, 3-star alter ego should be super interesting. I'm glad that free-to-play players are finally going to have access to an alter ego. But this right here, we get to go full melty blood on these boys with the Soya High School uniform. This was just straight up made to support Arcueid. Gives her Buster Card effectiveness and restores her HP. Death resists down and gain critical stars, which is interesting. I like that it's seeing the boundary. And remove mental debuffs for an ally and increase NP gauge by 10%. So this seems like it's going to be okay. I don't really see it supplanting a lot of super powerful Buster class farming cool mystic codes that grant like more critical stars and stuff like that, but it seems like an interesting addition to add to the arsenal. I'm excited to see where this goes. Couple of final things before we go ahead and bounce. Lost Belt 7 is coming out in December, so that's fantastic. FGO Summer 2022 with Lady Avalon / Proto Merlin and Gareth. Of course, that is going to be coming out in mid-August. I know people were already losing their minds over Proto Merlin, and then they just had to go ahead and drop Arcueid in our laps. So legitimately everybody's wallet is in danger. That's all I really got to say. We'll be seeing more from about summer 2022 on August 10th. So if you always try to make sure you watch all of the summer streams, be sure to go ahead and mark your calendar. Kobayashi Chiaki, who plays Bart Roberts, is going to be there, so maybe we'll get a higher rarity Bart Roberts. I would be very jazzed if that happened. But yeah, that's it for me, gang. Go ahead and let me know what cool things you thought came out of the 7th anniversary down in the comment section below. And let me know who you're more hyped for between Proto, Merlin, and Arcueid. I know I am chucking a difficult decision in your laps, but I trust you to be able to be a decisive person. Anyways, gang, that's it for me, Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, like I'm sure the entire FGO community already is after this announcement. And I'll see y'all in the next video.